this is the battery box and everything. The only thing that you need to know about this is if you're going to take it home and leave it, you're not going to use it for a few days, this one doesn't have a battery disconnect on it, so you need to at least remove either the hot wire off or the black wire, the negative wire off.
Okay.
If you don't, your battery will be dead in 2 days.
Okay.
Because there's so much stuff running in the background in there, stereo boards, refrigerator board, it'll run the battery down.
Okay.
So that's something to remember if you're not going to use it, because if you leave it at a storage, I take my battery with me. Because lots of people have been having their batteries and stuff stolen off the front of their trailers.
Okay.
And stuff. So if you're going to do that, that's something just to watch out for. And then recently, over here in Broken Arrow, they had a guy got in there and took like 8 trailers in one night. Yeah, they had him on there, every one, driving them out, just driving them out. So, yeah, so it does happen. This thing right here, this is your, let's just do it this way. You can access it this way, but I'm gonna take it off so I can give you a better visual. These are your propane bottles. They're both currently full right now. We have to fill them up so we can do a test on them, gas pressure test and all that, check them. This valve, this arrow right here, there's an arrow on there, it's kind of hard to see, but to switch it, you just switch it to there. Whatever side that's pointing at is the tank you're running on.
Okay.
Always make sure you got one tank turned on and using just one, and then whenever you run out, I know it's an inconvenience, but come back outside, turn that tank off, turn this one back on, switch it over. If you leave them both on, they'll automatically transfer over. But when it does that, then when you run out of propane, you're really out of propane. So yeah, just use one tank at a time. That way you know how much you got.
Huh.
And then these are the kind of bottles you can go to any Dollar General, Walmart, whatever, and pick you up a bottle.
Yeah.
You on there, just swap them.
We got 3 of those at home.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So just carry extras or whatever. Okay. This, I'm just gonna wait there and give it to you, but it's up and down on your jack motor. You got a light here for at night when you're working it, but they're gonna show you more how to use that when you get your hitch and stuff. I sit there and got your E2 hitch on there, but in your hitch demo, they'll show you more. You're gonna love this piece of equipment.
Yeah.
When you get ready to use it, because it takes a lot of the old cranking out that you used to have to do.
Nice.
Okay.
Is that the 5 Sisters?
Yeah. You have any party?
We heard good things about you guys. Yeah. All good things. The 5 Sisters, they even said you guys were the best.
Yes. You guys are looking tired. You're gonna go like, wow, that's true.
Oh, it's a DVT. These are on key to light. Now.
Nice.
Okay, so up in there,
Yeah, so that's our battery. That's easy enough.
this is your hand crank for cranking the jacks down. Most people do not use this. They
Yeah.
use a drill with a 3/4 inch socket on it.
Okay, that's what's I got one of
You
those.
just got to be careful with that, because if you're running them up too far, you try to lift the trailer with them too much, these jacks have a rope in it and they will break.
Okay.
They're not like a jack on a car where you can jack up a car, do it.
Yeah.
These, if you put too much pressure on them, they will break.
Okay.
So you level it, by getting it level with your tires, putting blocks under there or whatever, and then your jack front to back, and then you just run those down to stabilize. That's all they
Okay.
are. This is sewer hose they give you when you buy one. This is for emergencies. Get you a good sewer hose if you don't have it.
Okay.
Get you one that has a clear outlet on it that you can hook on and everything, so you can see what you're doing when you're cleaning all that on there. But this is nice if you need one for emergency.
Okay.
A little extra length. That's all you have up in there. We talked about the stabilizing jacks already. This tells you your tire pressures. On this one, it's 65 psi. And on these, if you haven't ever owned one, if you're going to let it sit for a little while and you're not going to use it, first thing you need to do whenever you get out and use it is make sure your tire pressures are 65,
Okay.
or at least within 5 psi. A blown tire on one of these, if you're on the highway, by the time you get stopped, they usually do about $3,000 worth of damage. Because it'll rip that pin right off, fender skirt. I had one here a while back that actually ate through the floor and tore the table up by the time they got it stopped. They didn't realize it. And it actually ate through the floor and destroyed the table, the boot, everything.
Tire is very important.
So tires are important. Another thing, a lot of people nowadays want to drive 90 miles an hour with one of these. If you ever seen one of these blow a tire on the highway and seen what it does, you will never do it again. They're only rated for about 75 miles an hour because they're trailer tires.
Yeah.
You know, they're not designed to run that fast down the road. So just watch your speed.
Okay.
I was on High 40 here a while back, and I was doing 80 miles an hour, and I got passed 3 times by people pulling trailers.
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
like, holy cow.
I'm not in that big a hurry.
Yeah, me either. I want to be alive when I get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just something to watch out for. Got a heater right here. That's your heater vent. And I'll tell you, I'm a tech. I've been a tech for years. I'm about to just start moving up front briefly. I'll tell you a few things that you need and a few that you don't. This is one you need. That little dirt double screen is $20 for that thing. Put it on and keep it on there. If you don't, the dirt daubers get there. It's anywhere from $100 to $400 to get it pulled out and cleaned out. They can make
The
it
bees?
Yeah, the little dirt daubers, the
Yeah,
little black
yeah.
looking thing. They'll get up there and make a big old nest, and you go to use your furnace, and it'll just carbon monoxide you out.
Oh man, okay.
But I'll show you one of those when we get inside.
Okay.
That right there, this is your fill area for the your dry tank, your fresh tank. If you want to carry water, if you're going to go somewhere where you're going to dry can, they usually hold about 50 gallons of water. You can carry it so you have your own water. And then to drain it, right down here, that little white valve, that's the low point drain valve. Okay? And so if you get done using it, you're not going to use it, open that thing up, let it drain out. You don't want to carry around 50 gallons of water all the time, because that's 400 pounds of extra weight you just don't need on your trailer.
Right.
On there. But that's how you fill up and you drain it. I'll show you how to use it when you get inside. This is your city water connection right here. You just mount that, and when you put that on, one thing that you don't have, you get a water hose or whatever. Make sure that you buy a regulator. And you put the regulator on wherever you're going to hook your water hose up to. You put the regulator on first, then the water hose goes in here. That keeps the water at 50 psi inside your trailer, and the water hose keeps the hose from blowing up
Okay.
at night. So that regulator is something you definitely want to buy.
So we need to carry a hose for.
Yeah, you'll have to get a hose. I'd recommend getting at least, you can get them in 25 or 50 foot. I'd get a 50 foot, because here in Oklahoma, if you've been to many of these camping areas, sometimes it's a long ways over there to get to the, not speaking.
Okay.
This right here, kind of closed up. I don't have a key for it, but it's an outside shower faucet.
Tom showed us that.
Oh, did you already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you just turn it on. You got hot and cold water and everything. The main thing to remember on it is if you're not using it, make sure that the faucet is turned off. Because if you don't, it works as a mixing valve, and it can mix the hot and cold water. You only get lukewarm water everywhere. So if you start getting that, experiencing that, come out and make sure this is turned off.
Okay.
Okay.
I blew by this piece, sorry. You just gotta get used to it. This is your 30 amp power cord. And it just pushes in there and pulls out. It's usually about the length of your trailer. So you got close to 25 foot that'll pull out when you go pull in to plug in somewhere.
Okay.
And if you don't have one of them for this, you ought to get a 50 to 30 amp connector, because a lot of your parts you're going to go through, the newer ones have 50 amp, and so you have to go from 50 amp down to 30 amp. It's just a little plug there, about 20 bucks to on there. But that's something that you always want to carry with you. And if you plan on plugging it at your house, you need one that goes down to 110. If you want to like plug it in your garage, you can plug it in your garage while you're running and everything. Just don't run the AC and stuff off of it, because if it's a little tiny extension cord, it'll break the breakers. It's not good for your AC on there. You can run it as long as you don't run everything else in there. You know what I mean? You just got to be kind of sparing with it. This looks exactly like that.
Yeah.
Don't get that one and this one mixed up.
Okay.
This one, they used to be, those were white, these are black. Now they started putting them all black. This one is your sewer flusher. Okay? So whenever you dump it, right here you can see your gray valve and your black valve.
Okay.
So when you pull this cap off right here. You twist it off. Make sure before you do that, since you're newbie, I don't want you to get your new shoes messed up.
Yeah.
But make sure that these are closed. And right now, they're in the closed position when they're in all the way like that. Okay? So if it's on, and there may be a little bit come out. Yeah, see there's a little bit of water still left in there.
Okay.
Okay? But you pull that cap off. Buy you a hose that has a clear connector. So when you connect on there and you put it in the septic tank to drop it in there, pull your black tank valve out, hook a water hose into here. They usually have one right there at the dump station. Let it sit there and run until all your water starts running clear. That's why you want the clear thing. Once it starts running clear, turn off the water hose, let it finish draining, close it up, dump the gray tank. The gray tank's just pure soapy water. So it'll clean out your hose and all that stuff. So when you're done, once it runs clear, yeah, and it all comes out, you're good to go.
Okay.
Unplug, close it back up, put your cap back on, you're ready to go.
And there's another low point drain here.
Yeah, those are for if you're going to do an emergency winterize. If you're
Okay.
out somewhere and it's real cold and you're afraid it's going to freeze up, you can open those up, go inside and open the faucets and stuff, and it'll let the water drain out to keep it from freezing.
Okay.
Okay. And one other thing that I missed back here is this right here. This is your vent for the stove inside. And this thing just pops in there. It's got a little deal. Right now you're going to use it. So you want to leave it open. So whenever you're running your cooking in there and you're running your vent fan, this will cook. It'll let the air come out.
Okay.
That's all it is, just
And then it
exhaust
just
port.
presses to close
Yeah, and
it.
it just presses
See
back
it.
in here.
Okay.
I can't see it. The sun's in my eyes. but-
Yeah, I can see it that way.
Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. But that, it just snaps back in.
Okay.
So the last thing over here is if you choose to get, if you go to a park that has KOA or something where you decide later on you want to buy a satellite, that's the input for it.
Okay.
Right there to add a satellite to it or whatever.
That's already wired in.
Yeah, it's pre-wired for it, so all you got to do is hook the satellite in and then go in there and make a couple of changes and you're good to go
Good.
on there. This right here, you can pull that out. That's where you stick your sewer hose so you don't have it in your compartment up there underneath your bed where you're smelling that nasty thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can take it, pull that out, and it goes up inside. It's real hard the first few times, but it'll get stuck.
I don't think I'm going to allow anybody to crap in my camper until probably till after the warranty's already out.
I saw a deal the other day. Someone had a sign there that says, "Thou shalt not poop in the camper."
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
On there. You are pre-wired for a camera. You get out there, and I call that a marriage saver sometimes. I know a few years back, my wife was back here telling me what to do and backed me into a tree. If I'd had that camera, I wouldn't have backed into a tree.
Right. Right.
So I tell people that sometimes, because it puts a good picture out. You can see.
Nice.
They're about $500. It's pre-wired for it. Takes a half hour to install it. You decide later on that you want one. While you're going down the road, you can also see behind you the whole time when you're going down the road.
Oh, nice.
So it's, something that if you decide you want one of those, they're pretty nice. A lot of people like them, but they don't tow a lot. It really helps to see.
Yeah.
This one is also pre-wired for the turn signal. You see that little black thing on the turn signal right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a camera that goes in it too. So when you turn your turn signal on, it'll pop up on the screen and you can see if there's anything beside you on that side
Oh,
That's
yeah.
when you
cool.
do it. So they're a little bit more. I'm guessing. I think they're around $700 or something like that for the whole 3 camera system on there. But a lot of people like them. You know?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. If you're not used to towing or something, it's a really good idea on there. This right here is your water heater. There's not anything you have to do there. The only thing would be later on if you decide to winterize it. Now, if you haven't ever winterized one before, they charge like $80, $75, something like that to winterize one. If you hadn't ever done one, I advise you to bring it down here and let us do it. And then if you want to, they can walk you around and show you how to do it. And then next time you can do it yourself. But to tell you all that today, I would be drowning your brain. So I just don't. It's not hard to do. It's just something that
Okay.
that you'll have to do later on.
Sure.
Just don't. If the temperature's going to be below 32 degrees for more than 24 hours, then you need to be thinking about winterizing because you're going to have stuff freeze.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's my rule of thumb. That's what I use. On there. This right here is your awning, okay, and it's fully electric. Goes in and out, all that stuff. You don't have to do any of that. But as you can see, it's pretty flat right now. So if it was raining, the water would get on there and just kind of hold. Well, you pitch it by pushing down on this arm.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
see, that makes it lean down on one side.
Yeah.
You can do it on both ends if you want to. On there to get it pitched more where it rains. If it's gonna come in and it's gonna be a downpour, close it.
Yeah.
Close it. I had a lady call me the other day and they actually sit there and watched it fill up the awning, and the awning crashed and fell off, broke the arms and fell off. She goes, "Warranty will cover that." And I said, "No, ma'am, they won't. They don't cover that."
Yeah,
Because
they're
they're
just
not
plain
designed to
stupid.
hold water in their flash flood rain like that.
Yeah.
You know, now they are designed that if they get too much water in them, eventually that arm will get heavy and this thing will drop and
Okay.
let the water come out. But by then you've already done damage because you stretched the fabric.
Right.
And the fabrics are about $250 and an hour and a half to put them on. So you're around $400,
Right.
you know, to mess that up. So if
It's
gonna
for shade, not rain.
Yeah.
if it's gonna rain real hard, pull it in.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's gonna be able to sprinkle or whatever, do it on both ends, get one end pitched that way. You can sit out there, as long as there's not water pooling on there, you're good to go. You know, don't worry about it. But that's why I'm showing you that. And then you just straighten it back up, and then I'll show you how to use it inside. You get in there. This right here is really nice. This is your bunk beds storage area.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And the only thing that I was going to show you there, but we'd show you later on, is those two screws come out, and that's access to the back of the water heater to get it ready to winterize.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can get right back to the back of it and winterize it from there. Right now you're in camp ready mode, so when you go out to the lake or whatever, all you got to do is hook a water hose into it, and y'all are ready to go. Turn the water heater on, you're ready to go. On there.
Can you access that from the bunks inside?
This, yes,
Yes,
that one
okay.
bunk over there has, sometimes they may have one screw in it, but usually that one side will fold up.
Okay.
And you can get to it on that one side. And as you hear, I have the radio going. Okay, so speakers, you have speakers on each end of this thing. You have on your radio, it has zone 1 and zone 2. Okay, zone 2 is outdoors, zone 1 is indoors. So you can be running both of them at one time, or you can run one or the other. Just don't be the guy that leaves his radio on. I had to, when I was at camp, I had to go knock on the guy's door at 8 o'clock. You didn't know how to turn that thing off. No, I don't. It don't work like that. I said, yeah, it does. Let me show you. I went there and turned it off.
Yeah.
Because I was tired of listening to their music.
Yeah.
But that's how you turn it off. This is a little advantage that you have
Oh,
here.
nice.
If you buy a TV in your bedroom, mount a TV in your bedroom, it has the same mount as this. So you can take the TV off in the bedroom, snap it on right here, hook it into that, plug it into there, you got outdoor TV
Oh, nice.
on there. Whenever you're done with it, just snap right off, take it right back in there and plug it back into the bedroom. I think you'd have to look at it, but usually about a 32-inch TV is what'll fit on there.
Awesome.
I just unplugged it. That's what we were just talking about. Trip hazards out here. Okay, that's pretty much the grand tour of the outside. Let's go inside and we'll show you the rest of it, and I'll give you some tips and tricks and tips.
Nice. Yeah,
I hope
nice.
y'all don't mind the mask. I've had my shot.
No, I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
The deal just went off today, and I told them I had my shots. I'm done.
Yeah. No. We're done.
Okay, so your stereo's on right now. It does stereo, a CD player, and DVD player.
Oh, okay. Cool.
This is out here, so if you hook your TV up here and mount a TV on here, you plug this in there, put your DVD in, select AV input or HDMI, you got a DVD player. It will not play Blu-rays, just standard DVDs on there. It also does, let's turn it. This was the 2 and the 1 I was talking about for your speaker modes
Yeah.
on there. You can turn them off.
Is this-
And then it also has a clock on it. It Bluetooth with your phone. You can charge with it. Everything on there.
Nice.
So Bluetooth, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. while we're on that subject, this right here is where your TV mount. There's a block in there. When you get your package, don't use the screws that come in the package. I had a guy did this the other day, and he was on the outside wall, and he called, and he was very upset because he had 4 holes, bolts an inch long, sticking through his outside wall.
Oh man.
And it was like he was like it was my fault. But only run a 1-inch screw. You can see how thick the wall is.
Yeah.
1-inch screw is all you can put in there on there. So when you mount it. But while we're on that, right here, this is your antenna. See the little green light?
Yeah.
That's telling you that the antenna is on. It's an amplified antenna. No more of that cranking up, twisting. You're not doing any of that. But in order for it to work, that green light has to be on. If it's turned off, you won't get nothing. If it's turned on, right here we get 58 channels. You go to the lake, you gotta go to Gibson, you might get 8 channels. The further you get away from town, the less channels you're gonna get. That's why some people go with satellite, when they're out there. But I personally think you go camping, you go camping. Yeah. So we're gonna leave that off. But if you hook up the TV, whenever you want to use it, you just turn that on. 12-volt connector. Back when I was growing up, everybody had 12-volt TVs. I don't even know if you can buy one anymore.
Yeah.
But that's what they use. And
Army
they're still
surplus.
putting them in here. Yeah, they're still putting them in here on there. So, but this thing right here, we'll just go ahead and stick that in there.
Yeah, right on. If we want Blu-ray, we can bring an Xbox.
Yeah, but it's there for your TV. Yeah.
We
And then
don't have
this is the remote, works it too.
Okay.
On there, works your stereo system and everything. I'm gonna put it in here so you
Yeah.
don't lose it when you're going down the road. On there. This right here, thermostat. You can feel the AC's working really good.
Yeah.
But I want to show you something else. If you're in here cooking, whenever you're cooking, there's a couple things that destroy RVs. Cooking's one of them. Taking showers is one of them. Okay? That what happens to these is they basically rot from the inside out. Because you put moisture in it and stuff, it's got staples, screws, everything else in the wall, gets trapped in the walls and they basically rot. That's how to do it. So anytime you're cooking or you're taking a shower, you should have a fan, exhaust fan going. So that's why you want to run the one on the stove. You've got one right here. You just flip the fan on and you got an exhaust fan. Now you hear right now, you can tell it's not real loud. If it's real loud, that means you don't have that thing popped
Oh,
open.
right.
So you have to pop it open. You got a light there for the stove. And the AC, if you're cooking in here, this is what I'm going to show you. It'll get hot in here real quick. See that little slide bar right above your head? Slide that. That's the place to be on a hot day.
Yeah.
You turn that on and it'll cool down this area real quick to keep you cool while you're in here cooking or whatever.
Okay.
Just don't run it like when you first get there and you're real hot. You've got there and you've been driving on the road. Open that thing up, let it dump right here on the floor for 30 minutes or whatever until it cools off. Then close it back up and start circulating through the trailer. But it'll cool this main area down before you're real good.
Nice.
Okay.
And it goes through those vents too, right?
Yeah, when it's closed, it still does even when that's open. But when it's closed, they go through a lot more. Yeah.
Is it closed right now?
I can tell.
Part way? Close that all the way.
Yeah. There you
There
go.
we go.
There you go.
Okay.
It's just like quieter too.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So while we're on that subject, are either one of you light sleepers?
I am.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you something. I am too, and I can actually hear my cat walking across the carpet. Wakes me up at night. That's how crazy I am. But this Dometic has a thing that they did about 3 years ago. People hate it. You're gonna hate it. But I'm gonna tell you how to bypass it. Okay? So if you put it in automatic mode like you do your house, put it in automatic mode, set the AC temperature down there, what it'll do is just like at your house. When it gets to 65 degrees, it's supposed to cut off, come back on whenever it doesn't. Okay? These don't do that anymore. Dometic came up with this grand scheme. It's easier on the AC and the compressor if they keep it running all the time and not shutting off and going up from basically a hard start. Every time it starts up from dead stop, it's a hard start. So what they made was, you set it for 75 degrees. It gets to 77 degrees. You're going to hear the fan shut off, but you're still going to hear the compressor running. Then about 30 seconds ago, it'll kick on, it'll come back on. Fan went from high to medium. 76 degrees, it gets close right almost to turn off, it'll shut off again. The fan goes from medium to low. Then what happens is it never gets to 75, So it goes back to 76, it shuts off again, it goes to medium. And it'll just sit there and do that. And it'll cycle, it'll drive you nuts.
Yeah.
So don't use it in auto.
Okay.
Just when you turn it on, see it here, like right now it's saying auto and cool. Okay. So if you hit the button, we're gonna turn it on. You gotta kind of light finger this thing too. If you went to E, we're gonna get off. So now it's gonna cut off. It takes about a minute and a half or whatever, and that thing will eventually shut off. But what I wanted to show you was when you hit mode, okay, it came on auto, hit this button, low, high, leave it on high.
Okay.
Set it on high. Now here in Oklahoma, it has low, but in Oklahoma, the humidity's so high that you can't hardly run it on low because it'll freeze up.
Okay.
Now if you're later on in the fall, when the humidity's kind of low, this time of year you can't run it at all. But in the fall, when the humidity's low, air's a lot drier and whatever, you can run it on low and just leave it on low and set your temperature. And you're on there, okay, so it's on high. We're gonna click it one more time. Now you see it says high,
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
So now you just set your temperature that you want it on. The fan will run 24/7, never stop.
Okay.
The AC will just cycle. So when it's 65, it'll shut off, but the fan keeps running. Whenever it comes to that temperature, you come on, compressor will come back on. Won't wake you up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Because in a trailer like this, I promise you, when that thing shuts off and starts up, it would wake you up
Yeah.
all the time.
I wake up exhausted.
Yeah.
Give me back my tent.
Yeah. So if you leave it on this work serves two purposes. It cuts out that thing that they were doing, the cycle thing. But it also, I don't know how, I'm the man that picks this guy out, but I always get next to the guy that stays up till 2 o'clock in the morning and drinks and howls at the moon. So it cuts him out too, you can't hear him.
Right.
Because the
Yeah.
fan drowns out all the time.
Nice.
Okay? So, and the only other thing on there was when you saw when I got to heat,
Uh-huh.
all you gotta do is keep clicking that mode button, it'll go to heat.
Okay.
Now when heat comes on, the heat's gonna come on, immediately the fan's gonna come on. Within 30 seconds, it's gonna try to light. And when it lights, you'll hear it go, oh, it kind of makes a little bit of a roaring noise, okay? If it does that and it cycles for like 2 minutes and it goes off, what it's telling you is I didn't light. Everything on these now has a safety feature. The water heater, this thing, this AC, this here too. And what it does is when it switches over to propane, it'll try to light 3 times. If it didn't light, it's going to shut off and it's going to kick it so it goes into lockout mode. The only way you can get it out of lockout mode, you have to turn it back off, let it sit for about 5 seconds, go back through the cycle again, turn it on heat, set your temperature. But if it did that, especially with your water heater, because your water heater is all the way at the very back, your bottles are all the way at the front. So if you ran out of propane sometime during the night or whatever, you've got to bleed all the air out of the line. So come over here and turn this on, which leads us into this. Turn this thing on and bleed it till you get a good flame on here. So to light this, you just push it to where the little pilot sign is. Strike it. Now see how it still hasn't come, hasn't bled all the gas out yet. It'll get a full flame on there. But it'll light all the burn. When you got good full flame on there, turn it back on and it'll light. It should light. Because if you try to bleed it all the way just by using the pilot on the water heater or whatever, it takes forever.
Okay.
So if you'll just bleed that out, and you can see what's put the heat in here already
Yeah.
on there. But this will light all the upper burners, okay? But it also lights the oven. And how I'm gonna show you a little trick here. If you get this door just right, you look in there, you kind of see a silver looking bar. Okay, and I'm gonna strike it. Do you see a spark? Let's see, where's it? Let me get it this. We got a light button over there. Turn that on. There we go, right there. Yeah.
Oh, there
now
it is.
you look and you see
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so what you do, you have to push this to the pilot,
Okay.
hold it there, and the first time it's going to take you about 30 seconds because you got to bleed all the line all the way down to it through a pilot. But then you just keep striking it, watching that spark until you see a little flame about that big.
Okay.
Once you see that little flame, you're ready to go. You can let off the button, turn it on, and cut. There you go. See the little
Yeah.
flame?
Oh, yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
Oh.
Okay. So now, if you're out camping for a week,
Yeah, it's right back there.
yeah, you're out camping for a week and you don't want to light that thing every time. All you got to do is when you turn it off, turn it to that pilot right there, leave it on that, and the pilot will stay on. And whenever you're ready to use it, you just turn it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like your,
But it's not hard to light either. Now that we've bled it, next time you just put on there and pop it. You can light it real quick. So, but it's something you don't have to do. On there.
what's this?
This
Oh.
night light.
Just lights. Okay.
This
Oh.
light in the oven and on the top
Okay.
on there. And one thing about this one is when you're traveling, when you close these, this thing just sits like that. Make sure you push it down in there. It's kind of, you want to push it down there to lock it in place because that is glass.
Okay.
And it will break. If you drop something on it, it will break
Okay.
on there. Microwave, it's a microwave, just like
Yeah.
any other house. I need to tell you about that.
Okay.
On there. This thing is already on. Oh yeah. See, you feel in there, it's ice cold.
Oh, yeah. Feel the.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I see. And
Okay.
this is the deep one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is brand new, so I can't really tell you a lot about this. All I can tell you is that it's automatic and stuff. This thing right here, see you've got set on 5, start at 3. And if you don't have one, buy a thermostat for your refrigerator.
Okay.
Okay? And I set mine, I hook it right here on this shelf, so when you open the door, it's a big dial. When you open the door, and it's been sitting for an hour or so, open the door and see what it is. It should be between 34 to 40 degrees.
Okay.
If it's above 40, you're not cooling like you should. Adjust the temperature down a little bit.
Okay.
If you got kids, you're gonna have to break them with this. They go home, you know, they open up the refrigerator and they looking around in there for something.
Yeah.
Can't do that with these. If you do that with these, just like what we just opened it, will take it almost an hour to recover from that temperature
Wow.
wise.
Okay.
So you gotta, you know, when you get in there, I tell my wife, no Christmas shopping. Just get in there, you know you want a drink, get in there, get the drink and get out
Yeah.
on there. But this one, this is brand new. And the thing I like about this one was what was wrong with all the other ones that they've had for years was they don't have a fan on them. This one does. This one has a fan, so this thing should be really, really efficient. You may not have that trouble. It should cool in there. But this is the one thing that when you get your packet, they're going to give you a packet with a whole, every pamphlet that came with the trailer, everything you bought. Read on this one, because I can't tell you what everything does on it, but read on it to how it works.
Okay.
Normally, I know these things inside out, but this is brand new and I just don't know it. I don't know what the night thing means they
Okay.
got on there, but I'm sure it's something. I'm sure it means something. I just
Yeah.
don't know what.
Right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So yeah, but you see it's working. I don't think it's good and cold, and it should be in automatic mode. Which what that means is when you unplug it, when we go out and unplug it, as long as you got the propane and everything turned on, we unplug it. It's got a battery. It'll light, go to propane, and run off that
Okay.
on there. Actually, I'm not sure that this one is even propane. That's why I want you to read it, because it doesn't have an access behind the refrigerator, so that usually means it's not propane. So this one may be the one they came out with these new models that are supposed to be 12 volt and 120 volt. So as long as you got a 12 volt battery, it'll continue to run on 12 volt battery. And while you're driving down the road, your car should be wired right where it's charging the battery. You're driving down the road, so you can travel all over the country with your refrigerator. Everything's staying
Okay.
in there.
What is
So-
this guy?
Okay, this thing here, this is your electrical power center.
Oh.
Your
Okay.
breakers are all right here, and all your fuses.
Okay.
Now, if you blow a fuse, there'll be a little red light beside it 90% of the time. Okay, so while we're on that, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to sit down because my knee's killing me.
Yeah.
I just had new knees put in, that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But you only have 30 amps of power, okay? Now when you're at home, you can plug in anything you want to all the time and use it. You're not gonna be able to do that in this. You like to cook with electric skillet?
No.
Don't. You like to drink coffee?
Yes.
Don't buy a Keurig. Don't put a Keurig in here.
Okay.
Okay, so what 30 amps means is you have 30 amps of power, okay? So that AC's running full bore like it is right now on a hot day, it's gonna be pulling about 13 amps. If you've got your hot water tank on electric and it happens to kick on, it's going to pull 5 amps. So now you're at 18 amps. Somebody goes in there and plugs in a hair dryer, pop, you're going to pop a breaker. Because a hair dryer pulls as much as that thing does.
Right.
This thing's running on, it's going to pull around 5 amps too. So if all this stuff's running, you're at 25 amps. You don't have a lot of amps left over. So you plug in a coffee pot, guess what? You're going to pop a breaker.
Okay.
Don't freak out about it. If you do that, say, okay, we can't do that. Like my wife knows when we're down there camping, because my trailer's 30 amps. We're down there and she's getting ready to cook dinner and we got the AC going, whatever. She's gonna run the microwave and stuff. Our thermostat's like yours right here. She reaches over, turns it off, does her microwave and her cooking or whatever, and then turns it back on. Because the microwave pulls more than anything in here.
Right.
I mean, it will. So you just got to remember that you got 30 amps of service in there. If you kick a breaker, say you're in there drying your hair or got a current on or something, breaker pops out. Right there behind you is the reset, the GFI reset, and you have to reset that just like the one at home.
Okay.
You have to push the button to reset. That is all of your resets for here, in here,
okay.
and the one outside are all on that same one. So if any of them kick out, that's where you reset them.
So you don't have to replace a fuse every time.
No, the fuses, what it's going to get on those. So that's how you, the 30 amp. What the fuses do, whatever confuses people a lot, is these trailers they're like, well, I'm plugged in, but my AC won't work. Okay, so they're 110 volt, but the only thing in here that's truly 120 volts is that. This thing is 12 volt control. It runs on 120, but it has to have 12 volt to run. That AC system, it's 120 volt, but it has to have 12 volt to run. The water heater, it has a 120 volt element, but it has to have 12 volt to run. So you could have 120 volt, everything's plugged in, and it won't work. You look down there and one of them fuses is blown, then it tells you, okay, I got to change that fuse. Watch that. Now, if you're blowing lots of fuses, bring it back. Something's wrong. You shouldn't be blowing a lot of fuses.
Okay.
You just shouldn't. And kicking breakers, I expect you to do that, especially since you've never used one before. You're going to kick some breakers until you figure out what 30 amps is, how much I can use, or whatever on there. Just like I said, mainly remember, if you're running everything, like you just get there, you plug this thing in, you turn on the AC, you turn on the water heater, your refrigerator's kicked on. Right there, you're pulling 25 amps with those three things, just getting it ready. Now, once the refrigerator reaches temperature and the water heater reaches temperature, it'll go off. You know, you won't be running that. You just be running 10 or 12. So you can run a TV. Everything else in here doesn't pull any power. Your TV pulls less than an amp or two. Your lights, you can run every light in this thing and it won't pull a whole amp because they're all LED lights.
Right.
You know, so that doesn't hurt anything. The main thing is like your plug-in things that you have to worry about. But if you do kick a breaker, like I said here, and if you overload it too much, remember that you got a breaker out on the pole that you're going to plug into. So go out and check that and see if it kicked out on you. If everything in here looks good, go out and check that. Talking about that, if you know what I mean, new, I don't know how much you're going to use it or where you're going to go use it to. One, there, I think they have them on sale in there. They're like $99 for what they call a surge protector. Okay, surge protector plugs in at the pole, then you plug your power cord into it. What it does is if you're in a park, like we had I keep mine up on Grand in an old park up there. A couple years back we had a lightning strike hit the park in there. Well, I was the only one that had a surge protector. Me and about 3 other guys. Didn't hurt any of ours. Some other people in there, it cost them a couple of grand. Because it's just like your home. You want to strike your home.
Burns up your lines.
It burns up your TV, your line, this thing. We had one here the other day. It's brand new. He hadn't had the thing 3 weeks when that lightning struck it and burnt that power center completely up. And it's like $1,200. Something we had to rewire and everything else. And warranty won't cover that because they know what a lightning strike looks like.
Right.
You know, they've done it. So a surge protector, like I said, they're $99. That's one of those things that if you got the money, get it. If you don't, get it later on. But it's, like I said, the surge protector, you're going to definitely need a water hose. Get you a 50 foot. The screen. You need the sewer hose with a clear one. And the sewer hose, we have them in there, that's a kit. They're like 25 foot. And it comes with the connector, the clear connector, everything you need is all in the kit. I think they're about $40, something like that, 40, $50.
Is it good to carry extra fuses
Yeah, if you stop somewhere or whatever, that's just a blade fuse like you use in your car.
Oh, okay.
Like at O'Reilly. Get
Yeah.
you a box of 15 amp fuses. But again, in my trailer, I think I've blown one fuse in the last 10, 12 years.
Oh, okay.
You know,
It's
on there, and I knew where it came from. So if you're blowing lots of fuses, then you got an issue somewhere.
Okay.
So bring it back. So that's something. But if it does pop and you see a little red light down there, you'll know I got a fuse problem.
Okay.
Okay. So the last big thing, as far as the frame issue thing, is if you look right here on that box right here, yeah. See the 4 little white buttons?
Yes.
Push the first one on, yeah, that one. Okay, see that? See those 4 red lights up there?
Yeah.
What that's telling you is that your battery's full.
Okay.
Okay, we're plugged in right now, so your battery's going to be full. The only way to truly test it is unplug it, then hit it, and test what your battery is.
Battery.
Yeah, that's battery. The one next to it should be fresh.
Yes.
Okay, there's water in your fresh tank.
Okay.
So what that means is hit that one right there beside it says water pump underneath the bottom.
Yes. Turn up.
Yeah,
Flip
turn it on. Okay, hear that water pump?
Yeah.
There you go. Now turn your water. Turn your pump. There you go. That's where it's talking about with dry camping. Okay, so if you put water in that 50-gallon tank down there, you turn that water pump on, it pumps out of that tank. Works just like it is at home. That pump will come on when you turn it on. It'll go off when you turn it on. If you hear the pump every once in a while belch, you got a leak. Start looking for a leak. But if you should, if you're just like a regular campground, you won't be using the pump. You don't need it because if you're on this regular water hose, you don't need that. That's only for pulling out of the tank. You want to pull out of the tank. The
So
next-
it's a third full right
okay.
now?
Yeah, it's the third full right now, so it has water in it. So if y'all, whenever, if you don't want to carry around all that water, or whatever, that means it's probably got 10, 15 gallons in there. So you can go 8 pounds a gallon. So if you don't want to do it at that low point drain out there, you just open it up and let it drain. Let it drain on the way home. The one next to it is your black, and see it shows empty.
Yeah.
And then the next one is your gray. Now, what you're going to use those for is if you're out using this thing, when it starts getting to around 2/3 on there,
Yeah.
time to start thinking about dumping it. Because you're going to run out, you're going to run out of room. When you're around 2/3, you're usually down to less than 10 gallons to be able to put it. You got about a 50-gallon, there's around approximately, I don't understand why they do this, but it's about a 40-gallon poop tank and a 40-gallon gray tank. Nobody can
Yeah.
ever fill out one of those tanks and pull it. I told this to some teenagers here a while back. They had 3 teenagers come and did. I told them, there's no way you can fill that up in the weekend. And the lady looked over and all 3 of them boys was grinning. She said, challenge accepted. We'll let you know how that goes. but anyway, so, you don't usually have to worry about that. But one thing about it is when you're using it, are you generally going to use it like on the weekends? Or are you going to like a weekend camp? or
Yeah.
whatever? Okay, so when you're using it on the weekends, you need to put a chemical in there. Okay, and they have all kinds of stuff, fancy stuff, little packets, little bottle. You get whatever you want. I've been using this stuff since the 70s, and it's called Aquachem, and it's the cheapest thing we sell. It comes in a 32-ounce bottle. You pour 4 ounces in the toilet when you get there. You run a gallon or so of water behind it, and then you use it. Now, in this type of weather, that'll last you about 3 days. If it starts getting hot and you start smelling it, dump another charge in there, which is 4 ounces.
Okay.
So you just pour about 4 ounces down in there, and then whenever you dump it, it'll clean it. But the last thing that we do, my wife does, when we're out camping and we're getting ready to go, we're going to go home, she goes in there in the toilet, and she stands on the toilet there and runs water, runs water. Try to get that thing, half full or whatever water. That way when you pull over to the dump tank, you put your hose on, it flushes itself out real good.
Right.
And it makes you drive around the camp, it kind of slushes around in there, and then when you hit that deal, it just makes it easier to dump it out.
Instead of being
Yeah.
slushy.
Yeah, so, when you're flushing it in there, hold down on another little simple trick to using these, because they're plastic toilet. It doesn't hold water like your toilet at home. It holds a little bit, not very much. So when you go in there, just put your foot on the deal barely, a little bit, let it run about, half full of water, then use the toilet. Makes the toilet a lot easier to clean.
Okay.
And you're not going to hurt that tank. Like I said, you cannot fill that up in a couple of
Right.
days, 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
A gray tank, another story. If you you like to wash dishes a lot, or you're taking a lot of shower, a lot of people go and they use their camper, just wash your dishes and all that stuff with the regular water, and then they go take their showers over your shower thing.
Right.
I don't really want to do that. I brought my own camper, and I don't like using somebody else's nasty shower.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's got a little deal on the shower head. So when you use it, you only got a 6-gallon tank anyway. Okay, so the one that comes with the little shower head, it's okay, but it's one in the factory case. Buy you one that we got them in here. You can buy them at Walmart. The same thing fits them. Buy you a good shower head that has the little on-off switch. It's easy for you to turn on. Get in there, soap up, get wet, soap up, use it, get it, cleaned up. Because you only got 6 gallons of water anyway.
Yeah.
So use it, use it sparingly. You can take a bunch of showers. I mean, I used mine down there in the deer woods for 3 months, out there. But I'll go out every once in a while. I've got a big hole dug out there, and I'll dump my, dump my shower water down in that hole. I'll get rid of it. But used to, they allowed everybody to dump it on the campground. And then the EPA said, no, that's not good because it's soapy water or whatever, so you can't do it. But you watch, mark my words, you'll be out there camping one day and you'll go, man, did it rain last night? And some guy over there next to you during the middle of the night opened his deal up and let it drain out of there, so you can use the shower some more.
Right.
But also with the gray tank, now you're going to treat the black tank, okay, every time you go. The gray tank, people think, well, I don't have to treat that, it's soapy water. Well, about every 5 or 6 times that you go, dump the same amount of charge in the gray tank, pour it down the sink, lavatory, anything to the toilet, or not toilet, the tub, pour it in there the same amount that you put in the black tank.
Okay.
Fill it up with water, let it sit for a couple of days. Because what it does is it eats all that soapy grime and stuff off your sensors, or your sensors won't they'll start reading wrong. So you got to put a little bit in there once in a while. Plus, believe it or not, that sink water stuff will get stinky too.
Oh, sure.
After a while. But you don't have to do it every time, just like every 5th or 6th time. Just run that on there.
So she's got that memorized already. That'll be the one thing that, because we don't,
I don't do.
No.
I'm very sensitive with my smell, so I.
Ever since she had our first kid, like, when your wife, you got kids, when your wife got pregnant, how their sense of smell.
Oh yeah, I still like that.
Yeah.
Hers went to someplace I don't know, like it's a superpower.
Yeah, my wife does the same thing. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sometimes I'll walk in the door and she'll be 40 feet over there, and she'll go,
Smell that?
you've been to the casino. It's like, how could you tell that? I can smell the smoke from here.
Yeah.
I don't smell it. Like, how could you do that? But I mean, she does. So, with that being said, I'm going to tell you a little secret, something else this is something that you're sensitive to do, you're going to definitely want. Okay. In there, when you flush that toilet is not like the one at the house, where the one at the house has a vent and everything. So when you flush it, the water goes down, there's no smell, everything goes away, boom, you're done. This one's not like that. When you flush this one, the water thing opens up, and you look down that little chute there, and guess what you're going to see? All the little goodies.
Yeah.
Okay? So if this thing is running, anytime this is running in here, it's pulling the vacuum on this trailer.
Oh.
So whenever that hole's open, guess where the smell's going to come from? Up out of that hole.
Yeah.
So if you don't have one on here, that bathroom has a vent fan in there. Okay? And you can open up the vent. I leave mine open mine stays that much open all the time.
Okay.
If you don't have what they call a vent mate, it mounts up on the roof. You put it on the roof there, and you can leave it open all the time. And when you're driving down the road, rainstorm, whatever, and it won't let the rain come in there. It serves 2 purposes. You can leave that open all the time because you're going to get smell in there. I don't care what you do, it's going to happen. Okay, so if you put that deal in there where you leave it open, it allows that to vent all the time, but it also breaks that vacuum. So if you flush the toilet, instead of sucking from the toilet, it sucks from up there.
Okay.
So it keeps from pulling so much smell out of there.
Right.
So they're about $30. It's called a vent mate. You can put it on yourself. They're really, it takes about 15 minutes for all of her to put it on. But that's something I highly recommend. If you're really sensitive, you're not going to like it, you're going to get off.
Well, nobody's pooping in here. That's just not going to happen. We go to campgrounds where they got, you go out to the thing, poop in the hole.
I've had people that say that. They're like, oh, yeah, we don't use it. And another thing with that is toilet paper. Now, they're going to tell you need RV toilet paper and all that stuff. We got it here. I worked at Kimberly Clark for 25 years, and that's what I did, was make toilet paper towels out there. When we took the Scott 1000 or Scott 500, they called that Scott toilet tissue. I'm sure they called it John Wayne toilet paper. You know, whenever you took that off, all we did was took the label off and put RB cents bill on there, and then it's $4 a package now. So you can buy that stuff. It says septic safe, and it's the kind that breaks down. Just don't use Charmin, Ultra Soft, Angel Soft, any of that stuff. If it says really soft, don't use it.
Okay.
Because it's going to create havoc in your tank factor. Because you cannot, it will not dissolve on that stuff.
You know why they call it John Wayne toilet paper?
Yeah.
It's rough and tough and take don't take no shit off no cowboy.
Shit off nobody. That's right. Yeah. So.
So when we can go up there, like on the roof, like it's fine. Like he doesn't have to be careful where he's going up
He's
there.
like, no, I get up there, but when you get up there, I try to walk on. You'll see there's some kind of some ribs or whatever. But this one is right next to the. I mean, it's right next to the side. Just get you a ladder and do it off the ladder.
Okay.
I mean, it's really easy to do. Like I said, they're about $35
Okay.
on there. The last thing I always like to end with is safety. Okay, so on this thing, years ago, people used to die in these things all the time. They get out and use them, especially in the wintertime. When I was 11 years old, I almost died in one. If I hadn't woke up in the middle of the night and thrown up and woke everybody up, we would have probably not been here. But it was, we were using the old kind, had the old propane lanterns and stuff in it, and we were getting carbon monoxide poisoning. And it made me sick enough that I got up. We had to get out. It was like 6 inches of snow on the ground. It was in January. It was miserable. We had to get out of the camper, air it all out. Okay. So that being said, they didn't have things to protect you back then. These, you have a smoke detector, which is right above your head right there. Handy dandy place, because when you're cooking in here, you're going to find out that's going to go off. In my deer camp, they call that Lisa's cooking detector because it goes off all the time. Oh, I don't like that, but Lisa's cooking detector. So, but you got smoke detector right here in front of you. There should be a little LP detector.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it says LP and carbon monoxide.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're out in the middle of the night and you're sleeping or whatever, that thing starts beeping. It beeps just like a fire extinguisher. Beep, beep, beep. Get up, open the door, and get out.
Okay.
If your heater's running, turn it off. You're probably getting carbon monoxide. Check to make sure you didn't lean up against this. We did this the other day. I leaned up against one of those, turned one of those on, and the LP was running in here. You know, and so it goes off. It also picks up cologne, perfume, air freshener. So if you spray some air freshener or whatever and it goes off, don't freak out. It just pick that stuff up. Those little Glade plug-ins. Had a guy the other day, he just argued with me. And I said, you can't tell me it's our LP tech kept going. And I asked him, I said, do you have any air freshener? And, oh, no, we don't have nothing. He goes, there's something wrong with this thing. So he brought it in, I walked in the door like to knock me down.
Oh.
And I said, sir, and I turned around and looked, and right on the wall, plugged in was one of them Glade Fresh Scent plug detector. And right below it was his LP detector.
Right.
I said, this right here is what's setting it off. Can't be. I said, that's what's wrong with it. It will pick that up.
Yeah.
And he goes,
Like, you smell that, dude?
he goes, I never even noticed that was there. He said, my wife must have stuck it in. I said, well, you got to take it out. You can't use that. That's what that thing's for, to save your life, you know.
Yeah.
As soon as we took it out, we opened the door. I said, let us see it for about 15 minutes. He had unhooked it. And so I went and hooked it back up. He came out. He goes, I'll have to get on about it. You know, he just argued with me. But it will pick up that stuff. So, if, you know, if it goes off, don't freak out if you just sprayed some or anything like that.
Okay.
And then the last thing is you have fire extinguisher right there by the door, single-use fire extinguisher. You have on your other side of your bed in there, there is a emergency exit window. You just pull the latch, pop the window out, and screen out, and you can climb out. Same thing in the kids' bunk bed back here. You got the same thing, so you can get out. That's pretty much all the safety features. I've covered about everything now. If y'all got any questions or anything?
Just this one, the
Oh, water
other
heater. I
two?
forgot those.
Yeah.
That's your water heater, gas, and electric.
Okay.
So if you're staying in a park, you're out there camping or wherever, you get there, got your water hose in, turned on, you ran water. Like I said, right now it's already raining. So you could flip it over to electric, and if you flip the electric switch on.
This one?
Yeah,
Oh, electric, this one.
yeah, that one.
Okay.
Okay, now it's on electricity. So in about 45 minutes, you'll have hot water. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour on electric. You can flip it back off,
Okay.
flip it over on gas. Okay?
Okay.
Now this works the same way that I was telling you about the other one. Okay, it's only going to try to light 3 times. If you look in that very upper corner there on this left corner, it says fault.
Yes.
There's a little dot there. There's a light there. So if you turn on the gas water heater, you come back by a little bit, you see a little red light there. What it's telling you is I didn't light.
Okay.
So you have to turn it off, turn it back on. It'll do 3 more times. Usually by then it'll light.
So
About
when
the
we
same
get there
time.
and we get all hooked up, we turn all 3 of these on?
No, you don't
At
need the
different-
water pump. Yeah.
No,
unless
not the
you're-
water. These two.
Those two.
Like
Well,
at different
actually,
times?
you just want to turn on the electric. Okay? Because
Okay.
you want to use their electric, not use your gas. But
Oh, right,
I'm going
right.
to tell you a little other thing. 'Cause it looks like you have kids or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're getting ready to go out to eat or go somewhere or whatever. You go take 3 or 4 showers. It says you only got 6 gallons of water. Okay. So you're running on electric, but you're going to take those showers. Flip it over on the gas too. So you have gas and electric. Now your water heater's recovering twice as fast.
Okay.
Everybody gets done with their showers. Flip the gas back off. Go back to electric again.
Okay.
But that helps you with faster recovery on water. You get more showers and everything out of it that way.
Okay. So when we hook up, we turn on our electric.
Yeah.
And then the 3-way pump, that little dot.
That is for the water pump. When you turn the water pump on, it'll tell you that it's on.
Oh.
It's running. Yeah. And that's all it's for on
Okay.
there.
And that was the awning?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the awning, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm going to walk you through closing up, so you're
Oh,
ready
okay.
to go. So that way you know what you're looking for when you get ready to close up. I'll walk you through that. But I had one other thing I was going to tell you. I didn't tell you. Do you like to cook biscuits and stuff like that? You cook in the oven a lot or whatever when you're out?
Some.
Okay. You're going to burn everything in this unless you listen to a couple of things.
Okay.
First thing, I have another one. I buy Walmart sells them, a little oven thermometer that clips right on this shelf right here, and you can see through the door. Because when you set this on 350, these can vary by 50 degrees according to the manufacturer.
Okay.
Well, that's a lot when you're trying to
Yeah.
cook something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got that on there, you turn it to 350 degrees. Hell, my one at the house, I turn it 350, put my biscuits in there and walk away. You can't do that on this. It'll burn your biscuits.
Okay.
Okay, so you turn it to 350, let it get hot for at least get up close to 350, then shove your biscuits in there. But there's one other bad thing. This burner is right underneath the rack there.
Okay.
So if you try to cook with a regular biscuit pan, the little aluminum, the lighter ones or whatever, you're gonna burn everything you cook in it.
Okay.
Unless there's a couple of different things. My wife actually learned this by accident. We started cooking them in a cast iron skillet. Perfect
Okay.
biscuits every time. We used to cook our biscuits. You cook them, pull it out, flip the biscuits over halfway through the time, and then stick it back in there. Well, she learned that you do a cast iron skillet, well, it spread the heat out. Well, somebody here a while back found out that if you put a pizza stone in there and you just leave it in there,
Yeah.
now you can use your regular biscuit pans on there, and it doesn't burn them because it spreads that heat out.
Nice.
Okay.
And that Pampered Chef, you've been around, my wife used to do that stuff. Pampered Chef has a pizza stone that is basically, I guess, the same size as this oven,
Oh.
according to the online reviews. And that's what everybody uses instead of cast iron skillets. They use that, leave that Pampered Chef pizza stone in there and let it heat up. You still gotta let it heat up, but
Sure.
it keeps from burning your biscuits and your cookies and all that stuff. If
Okay.
you use one of those, you won't have no problem. So we had one lady call in, and man, I can't tell you how many times she called us and cussed us out because she kept burning stuff.
Well, it's
in
your
the oven.
fault. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was.
you know,
She
you're
kept
the-
us
you're the
like,
one
man,
selling the campers.
She brought it in. Yes, she brought it in, and it's like she's like, I can't cook in here. It doesn't do, this.
Yeah.
And so I was testing. It's like, man, this thing is within the parameters. That's saying it's got to be. And well, I still keep burning. And I finally explained that to her. After that, she never, just never. But it was, oh man, she was so mad every time because she's like, we're not fixing that. She got a problem. We're not. I think they wound up even they put a new oven in for it just to quieten her up, but it still worked. It still did the same thing.
Yeah. I'll never call you up and yell at you. Neither of us will.
Well, I get it all the time.
Yeah, we'll ask for help.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
they call me for help. I'm at the service desk. People call me all the time, and they call me and I tell them how to walk through something. This morning already, I fixed 2 air conditioners this morning, and they did a water heater over the heat over the phone.
Wow.
And they're out at the campground, so it happens every day.
Nice.
But other than that, this thing here, I was going to show you. These pull up and down, and they're kind of stiff. You can tell. You want to stick your hand in the middle when you pull them up, and when you travel with them, you want to pull them down. And this one's behind that table. You you want to travel with them down. They travel better, and they're kind of stiff. And after a while, they'll eventually get loose. You have to tighten up the little strings over here on the
Okay.
side. That's what they're for.
Okay. Oh man, yeah. Wired for solar,
Yeah, it's pre-wired for solar.
so we could actually get our own electricity.
So does it tell us what kind of for the TV mount, like what we have to put on our TV to mount to fit that?
Hold on, there should be right here. Look underneath it. Yeah, look in there. Let's look under the bed here. It may be in your bag that you get too.
Oh, okay.
Because they're going to give you a big old bag full of all kinds of stuff when you do your paperwork and stuff. You'll have your keys in it, all that stuff in there. Look in there, but there should be a TV mount that it just clips on the wall.
I see. Okay.
That's all it does. It could be underneath one of these. Sometimes they put them in the drawers. They don't
Yeah,
have
that's really
this
easy.
thing here.
We'll probably put one over there, so one of those will go over there too.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll actually you can put up the one over there with the adjusters on it, right?
Yeah, this one over here, most people use one that has a swing arm.
Yeah.
So you can swing it. Just remember, 3/4 inch screw.
Do they sell those here?
Yeah, we've got some up front there, right in the front when you go in there.
Okay.
I'll take you around and kind of show you some of that stuff that you need. real quick
Tom
when
owes
you
me
go
a
in.
sweet ball cap, one of the Flex Fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're getting ready to go. Okay, I'm going to show you this too. If you turn that switch on right there, okay, see that's all your main lights right here.
Okay.
Now, if you flip it back on, if that's too many lights, all these have a little push button in the middle.
Oh.
So you can turn a couple of them off so it's not so bright. Whatever you're using them. The rest of them in there, they have just, you have to push button and turn them off. Yeah.
That's
And then there should be a switch up underneath there to turn off those mood lights there in the front.
Oh yeah.
Where is it?
there.
Oh,
It's over
it
there.
is.
Is that it over
Yeah,
there?
we gotta turn it off. So we can turn it on, turn those lights off. Okay, yeah. Push up on that one.
Gotta touch these.
Oh, you have to.
Turn these off. And the ones above your head. These are all just handled by.
Oh, so
turn
these
them
all
off
you got to
like
do
that.
manually. Okay.
Those
Yeah, no light switch. But
Okay.
you know what? That's the great thing about this trailer. We sell these things. I cannot tell you. Last week I did 3 in like 3 hours. I did one after another. We sell these like crazy.
Yeah.
The great thing about them, there's not a whole lot to go wrong with them. They're your basic standard trailer.
Yeah.
They got everything you need to can,
Slides
but
to
not
break.
crazy electronics.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know? But
It's really like, we want to be camping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you got that. We got the stereo. I'm gonna turn the stereo off. Hold down the button. And then in here, oh, no, I can't. Oh, I can't.
I can
You may be told it. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one there and one there we need to turn off. I wanted to show you this though real quick.
Sure.
Also in here, here you actually have a light switch. So you turn that off or it has one on it. And then here is that fan. Like I said, I leave my bathroom like that. Cracked open
Yes.
about like that all the time.
Huh.
And then
And
if
then
we
you can-
shower,
Yeah, if you're gonna shower or whatever, turn the fan on.
Okay.
So it sucks the moisture out of here when you're using
oh, got a little mini skylight over our shower.
Oh, so that's already installed.
it. Yeah, it's already got one. That's
But
what I'm
you
saying.
have to
just
have
need
the-
that vent over it, so if you go out on the
Rains.
lake or whatever and forget, you can leave that open all the time.
Okay.
All the time like that. You don't have to worry about water getting in here.
Okay.
But you have to
Also,
get the
this
thing on
thing
it.
is
Okay.
not on there either. Turn that thing on there.
Piece of cake.
But that's where you turn it on. You're taught. My wife had to make her a stick so she could turn it on. She can't reach it.
Oh, look, the
Too
kids,
short.
they have their own little charging things
sorry.
in there too.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
sorry.
all got their own
Here,
USB chargers.
Oh, cool. 2 of them.
Whoops, sorry.
They got two above and two below.
They all
Oh,
have to
yeah.
have their own.
Nice.
There's only one thing. If you have a little kid that's hotter or colder than the other one,
Yes.
stick them in this one because
The,
there's no vents here.
the colder one goes down here.
Yeah, that one has a vent up there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, this one doesn't have one.
Cozier.
This is what I was talking about. It has its. This one doesn't even have an on-off switch.
It's just on.
It's just a different deal. So
Okay.
buy you one of them. Like I said, we sell them here, but they sell them at Wally World too.
Yeah.
It has a little easy button you can turn on and off to teach the kids how to use it, so they save you water.
Okay.
On there. like I said, you only got 6 gallons.
Yeah. You know those kids are gonna want to shower.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They'll
And
get
you
dirty
can't stand there
just
and
to
leave
do
the
it.
water running all the time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So that's all in here. You got the lights turned out. We got that done. When you're getting ready to go, we're gonna close it up. We've got all the lights off, all your drawers shut. Make sure you don't have anything up on your counters or whatever. You're not gonna use this today, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and turn this off. You just hold down on the button. And it goes off. Now, when you get home, when you're camping with this and you're using it, every time you come home and you unload it and everything, open the door once it's done. Open the door at least, you know, where it'll stay open. Lay you 3 or 4 paper towels right there on the bottom.
Okay.
Or just any kind of towel. And the reason you do that is this thing's gonna drip water inside. If you don't catch it right there, it goes down to that wood, it'll make that wood swell and bust.
Okay.
So I just lay 3 or 4 paper towels there. Whenever I get ready to load it up, throw the towels in the deal, close it up, ready to go.
So you don't have, do you keep those open so they don't get a funny
I
smell?
do. I keep mine open, just cracked. I leave
Yeah,
them about that
okay.
much. Just
Yeah.
leave them open once I'm done, you know, at home. And that way, when you come in, it's always clean. You don't have to
Yeah.
go wipe it clean every time. No mold, no mildew in there. But if you leave them closed, you will have.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the last thing. And the only other thing, you want to make sure that everything's turned off. And so we're going to turn this AC off. There you go. And it'll go off in a couple minutes. That way, when you go plug it in, you don't want to hear pow. When you plug it in, you hear pow. It's like, okay, I left something on.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why you turn everything on. Other than that, that's it. We got to roll in the awning. We'll have you do here when you open the door up. Just pull that black handle up. No, up there.
Oh, there we go.
Pull it.
I think he locked us in there. Can't see.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's hard to see. There it goes. There you go. Yeah. You hit the awning, and you hit the end. Now this awning, one thing I'll tell you about that too is it will go in and out. So if you're noticing you're over here rolling in, you're holding on in and it's coming back in, you went too far. Because what it'll do is it'll actually all the way unroll and then it'll start rolling backwards. So when it's rolling up, it should always be rolling up with the fabric on the top of the tube. You see how it is right
Yes.
now? That should be rolling back up. If you do it the other way around and hold the water down in there, it get all stinky and moldy.
Okay.
So yeah, just hit in. It comes all the way back in. Nope, that's how it is.
No, it's coming in.
That's coming in.
You're hitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming in. And it's rolling this way.
Over the top.
Yep.
Well, then that's right. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay. Oh yeah, it says out.
Yeah, it says out. So they've got the wire switched around in the back of it.
Okay. So it's just backwards.
It's just backwards.
But that makes sense to me that down would be in. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Well, and one other thing I did not show